Hi guys, this is Mrs. Gassler, and in this video we are going to talk about momentum math. And so this is page 10 in your green packet. The practice for this is on the next page, momentum math practice right here. It's got all the formulas right there. You should pay attention to that. And if you have questions or you want to make sure your answers are right, you can talk to me or whoever's in here that can help you find that. You can keep going, but you don't have to do any more past that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fill this out, and then we'll do a couple of examples. So your name goes here. You are in physics first. I don't know which block you're in, but it's either one of my B days, 2, 3, or 4B. And today's date is for 9/19, unless you're watching this some other time, in which case you can change that. BTW, happy birthday to my brother. Okay, momentum math is our topic. Momentum math, and our essential question is, how do I perform calculations related to momentum? Okay, so in a previous class we talked about what momentum is. Now we're going to do calculations because there's an actual value for that amount that we can find and work with. So remember how momentum depends on mass and velocity? Well, conveniently, that's the equation. It's mass times velocity. That's the actual formula. And for momentum, we're going to use the letter P. I know it's weird. That guy Newton, he was the one who came up with the P. He called it something other than momentum, though. For mass, we've used before, we're going to use M, and for velocity, we're going to use V. Okay, remember that velocity includes direction. Let's talk units for a second. Our unit for kilogram, we'll write it over here. This is the symbol. This is the unit. So for mass, we're going to use the kilogram. Kilogram is the scientific unit for mass, and so that's what we're going to use. And for velocity, we've been using meters per second. When you multiply those things together, you're going to get the unit for momentum, which is a kilogram meter per second. I know that's got a brilliant name to it. That's all it is. You're just multiplying them together, kilogram meters per second. Okay. So you will probably have to find some other things too. So if you need to find momentum, then you're going to write down the shortest equation here. Well, they're all the same because they all got 3 letters. Okay, P equals M times V. But if instead you need to find mass, then we need to solve that for M. And so we'll have M on one side, and we'll have P divided by V on the other. And then if you need to find velocity, we'll do the same thing. We'll get velocity by itself. And if we do that, we'll just get rid of the M over there. So we'll have P divided by M. Okay, can you tell that's an M? I know with the line there, it's kind of weird. So those are the formulas that we might have to use. So let's do some examples. And for our first example, here's our question. We want to know how much momentum does a 2,000 kilogram truck have if it goes, how much momentum does a 2,000 have? Yeah, if it goes 20 meters per second. That's about 45 miles an hour. So we're going to take that equation, P equals M times V, and plug in our numbers. Momentum is what we're looking for. That's why I wrote the P here. P is momentum. So we're going to do the mass, which is 2,000 kilograms, and we're going to multiply that by the 20 meters per second, and we're going to come out with 40,000. Here, let's just make sure I got enough zeros. 20 times 2,000. Yep, 40,000. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. And then our unit is just kilogram meters per second, and then a box around our answer is useful. So that's all I did there. I just had to multiply those numbers. But what if you have to find something else? So for example 2, let's say we have a 40 kilogram dog. That's going to be like a big chocolate lab or a nice box or a Doberman Pinscher or something nice. 40 kilogram dog has the same momentum, which means that much. Okay. How fast would it have to go So in order for a 40-kilogram dog to have the same momentum as this old truck here, how fast is it going to have to go? What do you think? A lot? A little? I mean, it's much smaller. So we're looking for how fast. How fast is velocity? So V is what we're looking for. So that's this one right here. That's P over M. So I'm going to take the momentum, which was 40,000 kilogram meters per second, and I'm going to divide by the mass, which was 40 kilograms. And maybe you can already do this one. So there's my 40,000 divided by 40, and I get 1,000 meters per second. By the way, that's like 2,000 miles an hour. It's really stinking fast. So is the dog ever going to have that momentum? Probably not. I don't know any dogs that can run that fast. Maybe you do. Maybe my dog can run that fast. I don't know. She's pretty fast. All right, one more example. All right, so we got a Frisbee. Has a speed of 12 meters per second and a momentum of 2.4 kilogram meters per second. What is its mass? All right, so mass is what we're looking for in this question. So I'm going to start with the M here, M for mass. M for mass, and we're going to do P over V this time. It said the momentum is, that's the 2.4 kilogram meters per second. And I'm going to divide that by the speed, which was 12 meters per second. Uh-oh, I got a little number divided by a bigger number. That's going to give me some kind of decimal. 2.4 divided by 12. I get 0.2 kilograms, which makes sense because Frisbees are not very big. A kilogram is actually really heavy. I would be worried if a Frisbee weighed more than a kilogram. So there are some examples here. Solving for P, solving for V, solving for M. Any one of those formulas right here that are going to be listed on your paper anyway are things that you might have to use. Now, since this is Cornell paper, I want you to spend a few minutes here finishing these up before you turn them in. There's a place on Schoology to turn this in. You need to write at least 2 questions over here. And remember, the goal is to be able to use this to quiz yourself. So maybe you can ask yourself what letter you use for momentum. That would be a great question. Or you can ask yourself, what do you do to find momentum? Maybe you can write that it's going to multiply. What units do we use for momentum? Those are all great questions that you could write down. And then down here, for a summary, your goal is to answer that the essential question. So how do you perform calculations with momentum? So you could explain like what the formula tells you to do or how you would use the formula. And then once you're done with that, you can turn that in on Schoology. Now, the next thing that you have to do in Schoology is the momentum math practice. There are 7 questions here, and it's going to be really important that you read the question and understand what it's asking. So when it says things like same momentum as the previous question, that's up here. If you have any questions about what it's asking, this one's going to ask you to do 2 calculations because you've got 2 things that you need to know which one has more momentum. So you're showing mathematically, don't just think about it in your head, who has more momentum. Again, if you want to check to see if your answers are right, you can ask and someone will tell you. When you are done with this, turn it in on Schoology. And then you will find a small quiz about momentum that you need to take too. That is the other thing that you have to do in class that needs to be done today. There's a quiz that has questions on calculating momentum. It might also have some other questions about momentum, just a heads up there. And when you're done with that quiz, well, you got to make sure you score high enough. So you got to score at least an 80%, which it depends on how many points the quiz is worth as to how much that is. So those are your things that you need to do today. You need to finish up these notes and turn them in. You need to do this practice and turn it in. And then you need to take that quiz on Schoology. Anytime you have remaining, you need to spend working on turning in stuff from the rest of this packet. I know some of you did not yet finish the lab from last time. You don't have access to this stuff here, but if you have not yet finished the PhET simulator, you can do that. It's linked in Schoology, and then you can answer those questions there. If you have any questions, make sure you ask. Thanks for watching.